Imagine investing $1 million in a state-of-the-art computer, but you're trying to run your operations on a hard drive clogged with 20 years of old background cache. It runs hot. It feels heavy. It hits a performance ceiling. You don't need a new business strategy. You need a system data wipe. Following our episode with Lisa, high achievers everywhere realize they are trying to brute force outcomes using old, uncleared data from past betrayals and setbacks. But willpower always loses to suppressed negative emotions. Your nervous system stores that data. Your brain biology bouncer keeps locking down your capacity. In this solo episode, I'll be breaking down the exact 3-step surgical protocol to clean your mental hard drive. We are grounding this actual neuroscience of memory reconsolidation and Hebron learning, uncoupling the past from the heavy weight of the baggage. Stop trying to carry the weight of the mountain. Climb it. Stream the full episode now and book your 15-minute subconscious audit at Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. Be legit. Imagine investing $1 million in a state-of-the-art, custom-built computer system. It's the fastest processors on the market, the cleanest architecture, the capability to run a global enterprise. But there's a catch. You're trying to run your entire operations on a hard drive that has never had its system cache cleared. So it's clogged with 20 years of old background data. Temporary files from the past crashes and conflicting code. What happens? The machine runs hot. It throws constant error codes. It feels sluggish. I remember the other day I was working on my computer and it just was sluggish. It feels heavy. And eventually it hits a hard performance ceiling. You don't need a new strategy for that computer. You don't need to yell at the monitor. Sometimes that we do, we yell at the monitor, speed up, speed up, speed up. No, you need a system data wipe. As high-level business owners and executives, this is exactly what you're doing to your brain. You're trying to scale to the next revenue peak using old, uncleared subconscious data from the past. You know what I'm talking about? These past betrayals, market shifts, and failures. Welcome back to the Legit Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Curtis McCullom. Today we're going to do something special. Today we're going to give you the exact 3-step surgical protocol to clear the background data that's actually holding you back. It's holding your capacity hostage. Let's do something. Let's do some surgical surgery. Over the past 2 weeks, we've taken a deep dive, looked under the hood of the human performance. In last episode, my wife, Lisa, the president of Bespoke, joined me to share the incredible raw story of our emotional grief from losing our son, Adam, literally materialized as a physical somatic weight because of the language she was using. In the episode before that, we actually looked at the hardware of the reticular activating system, or RAS, which acts as the brain's biological bouncer, filtering out 99% of your reality based on the keywords you feed it. The feedback from those conversations has been massive. I've had CEOs reaching out saying, Curtis, I realized I'm doing the exact same thing what Lisa did. I'm staring at my business. I'm looking at my team and constantly repeating, this is heavy. This is a lot to carry. When you do that, Your biology search engine goes to work to find exactly what you are asking for. More weight. I remember back in the day when I was preaching and people said, "Oh, I want more strength." Well, in order to get more strength, you got to have more problems, you got to have more challenges in order to get more strength. So when you say this is heavy, today it's about moving from understanding the problem to executing the solution. It's time to trade success with pressure for success with lightness. To expand your capacity for what I call the immeasurably more, you have to empty the background cache of your mental hard drive. And here is the protocol. Here is the exact 3-step structural protocol to execute a true somatic system restore. Number 1, sanitize the soil. What does that mean? The first task is a total language sanitation. The RAS, the reticular activating system, does not know the difference between a joke, a temporary frustration, or an identity. It just takes your dominant focus and makes it true. You might be saying, my business is killing me, or the revenue is impossible. You are programming your bouncer. Look at what Lisa did. She shifted her subconscious programming just by moving from absolute identity statement, this is heavy, to a regulated somatic observation. Sometimes it feels heavy, but I can handle it. In psychology, this is validated by a process known as cognitive restructuring or somatic labeling. Clinical studies in neuro-linguistic processing shows that the change in the absolute linguistic statements, I am overwhelmed, into detached observations, I'm experiencing a temporary wave of pressure, regulates the amygdala. Your physical shift, your nervous system from the sympathetic, the fight or flight state into a parasympathetic state of control. You aren't changing the external reality. You're just sanitizing the internal soil so that your brain stops treating your business like a life-threatening predator. When you change your language, you script the trauma of its permanent authority. Stop saying, I'm burnt out. You aren't burnt out. You're simply experiencing a temporary state of success fatigue. Separate your identity from the emotion. Step number 2, unbuckle the backpack. This is actually the emotional release. The second step requires us to go deeper than conscious language. You can't use conscious logic to solve a subconscious block. And this is where high achievers fail. They try to use sheer willpower. Push through, man. I'm going to just make it through. I'm going to push through this emotional block. Willpower always loses to suppressed negative emotions. When you experience a business betrayal, a major financial loss, and you probably have too if you're an entrepreneur, or a profound personal setback, your nervous system stores that data. And if you just hustle through, you are leaving the emotional charge attached to the memory. Every time a similar situation happens in your business, your RAS flags it as a threat. The handbrake slams on. You stop. You got to stop because you feel that old emotion. But through mental emotional release, this is one of the most powerful things that we do in our practice. We perform what Lisa called a rapid neurosurgery. Sometimes in less than 10 minutes per session on a negative emotion, we uncouple the past event from the negative baggage around an emotion like anger, emotion like fear, an emotion like sadness. You don't lose the lessons of the past. You just drop the heavy weight of the baggage. This is actually grounded in clinical field of memory reconsolidation. This landmark research in neuroscience proves that when a traumatic, highly stressful memory is recalled, it enters a temporary malleable state. It's malleable at this time. But traditional coaching And talk therapy simply talks about the trauma. It talks about the event, keeping the womb open. But in MER, we surgically access the memory while it is malleable. We strip away the negative emotion charge from the data. The historical facts remain perfectly intact, but the somatic weight is dissolved. Your hard drive keeps the data line, but completely release the mail script. Step 3, reprogram your query. It's what we call the daily conditioning. Once the hard drive is wiped and the soil is sanitized, you cannot leave it empty. An empty search bar will just default to old, familiar queries. You must aggressively condition the new baseline. And this is where I created what I call the bespoke daily mental supplements. And this is where it comes in. As Lisa beautifully pointed out in the show, she pointed out that you wouldn't go to a gym, have a single phenomenal workout, or get in great shape and say, well, I guess I'm done working out forever. Well, it doesn't make sense on a physical level. And it surely doesn't make sense on a neurological level. You must continually condition the new version of yourself. By utilizing custom mental supplements daily, you constantly feed your brain search queries with pure intent, lightness, and expansion. See what you're doing, you're actually train your system to scan for structural wins automatically. This is dictated by the biological law of Hebrew learning, the neuroscientific principle that neurons that fire together wire together. When we perform a data wipe, we create new neural pathways. But if the pathways aren't actively traveled, the brain's natural process of the synaptic gap of the synaptic pruning will destroy them, reverting you back to your old survival grind. Bespoke daily mental supplements acts as the repetitive cognitive conditioning, building a thick myelin sheaths around this new behavior, around the new pathways of expansion until lightness becomes your brain's automatic default setting. Now for my sponsor. Look at your calendar. Look at your current revenue numbers and look at the state of your relationships. If your external success is costing you your internal sanctuary, your hard drive is full. You don't need another tactical seminar. You definitely don't need to try to brute force your way through the next quarter. You need to locate the hidden emotional handbrake holding your capacity hostage. That subconscious audit is a targeted 15, 30-minute diagnostic call designed specifically for high-level achievers, high-level leaders. We skip the talk therapy rabbit holes. We go directly to the hardware and pinpoint exactly what is clogging your system. Stop running $1 million machine on an uncleared hard drive. Go to bespokehumanpotentialcoaching.com today, right now, and book your diagnostic audit. Back to the show. Imagine the competitive advantage of operating from a completely sanitized. Imagine waking up on Monday morning and your brain stem isn't scanning the horizon for potential betrayals or threats or failure because the 20-year-old backpack is finally unbuckled. Your system has the universal capacity to see the strategic play, the scaling the opportunities, and the creative solutions that were previously deleted by your own brain. This isn't theory. This isn't a mystical dream. This is the hard science of selective attention and nervous system regulation. When you empty the vessel of your old baggage, you finally make room for the immeasurably more. Stop trying to carry the weight of the mountain. Just climb it. Execute the system restore. Clear the cache and step into your true capacity. If this solo episode gave you clarity today, do me a favor. Number 1, subscribe. Number 2, leave a direct review. And number 3, and share this track with a fellow high achiever who is successful on paper, but exhausted in reality. Let's help them unbuckle the scraps. This is the Legit Mindset Podcast. I'm Curtis McCullom. Be legit.